One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. And hello, fellows. Herogon, the game dev here. With the close to last stretch of me being caught up until this Sunday soon. Man, I really need to get my motivation back on track. It's a little tough here and there. So let's get into things. First up, video is from a few weeks ago, which is Wake Up Rolling Tech. And before you ask, I do not know why Sean put She-Hulk in the thumbnail here at such a coincidental time. But from what I can guess, She-Hulk's probably had some kind of appearance in a few fighting games here and there, so I'd suggest not questioning him or me, as Sean's a bit of a busy man, and I myself am not entirely the foremost authority on, well, fighting games. So, moving into Wake Up Rolling, you probably know Smash Bros. And how certain characters can do a roll, and sometimes whenever they're on their back, and how you put this, they've been hit into a combo and they've been just knocked down. So, in this case, here's a look at our stuff here. And that there is part of the Wake Up Rolling. And if we go back a little from this video, we've got a full look. So let's see what we've got. If you knock down your opponent, then boom, you could backward roll or forward roll. In this case, both things are pretty good evasion tactics, especially when your other opponent might actually end up, hitting you many times. I mean, if you had an infinite combo system, then you could be totally screwed, which is why a wake-up roll is pretty big. So, going into things, most of the changes for rolling involve the Project Fight Stars character .h and .cpp formula. And in E-combo state, we have two things: forward roll recovery and backward roll recovery. And where we use these are in Move Right, which we'll have to go into the Fight Stars character.cpp here, and then go way down to Move Right. And right around here will be our usual input stuff. Then we will keep going down, and this is where the magic of it is. If the character is knocked down and has the ability to move, a forward or backward roll may be performed if the correct inputs are pressed. If the value is less than 0.01 F, has released right axis input will be false. If they aren't facing right, then the combo state will be a backward roll recovery. Otherwise, if it is facing right, then it will be forward roll recovery. Is pressing backward will only be true on is not facing right here. And otherwise, if value is greater than negative 0.01 F, in this case going left, we have this stuff right here. And if is facing right, we'll have the usual backward roll recovery and forward roll recovery stuff. And otherwise, if both of these aren't true, then is pressing backward will be false. And we do have this stuff for the Move Right controller. we do have controller support, so most of the stuff is going to be the exact same as the usual move right for keyboard, but there are differences. For instance, the value is instead 0.2 to account for any dead zones you might have in a controller. I don't know entirely what dead zones are, but I do know that the feeling between a controller and a keyboard is pretty significant. I myself have actually given a few things a try with a keyboard and controller, and I have to admit, a controller is very, very useful in certain situations. So going down, it's all the same stuff, just using 0.2 as the value. And with that, we go into the blueprint side of things. And in Sean's video, most of the stuff actually involves using, well, the anim BP right here. And it's now going into the anim BP, we have some knockdown stuff. I have not gotten everything set up, and I don't know if I'm going to anytime soon. We'll have to wait and see where that comes in. So, in knocked down front, which is something different entirely from the knocked down stuff, in the knockdown aisle front, we have something called roll forward or roll backward from knockdown front. And this only happens if our combo state is equal to either forward roll for the roll forward or backward roll recovery from roll backward. And this stuff will likely go back into the knockdown recovery front or just back into, well, the idle. I am not entirely sure, and again, I have not entirely set up. Again, I am kind of learning all this stuff on my own. Please don't take me as all-knowing, at least. Because remember, I'm human, just like you, and I've got a lot to go through. So, going back into Safari, and our next topic is using different gamepad types. Now for this, we are now allowing a deal of things for gamepads to be very different. And in my case, it's been for the better, I'd like to say. A few adjustments here and there, one could say. And right now we have ourselves a any key thing. Originally we used to have an add to input buffer back in the project settings, but we no longer use that since press any key will easily get things done. And so far we go into some stuff right here, determine input device details, and a lot of this stuff is pretty complicated, and even I myself am a little confused. But what you need to know is that things are currently going towards base player controller rather than within the character itself. Now, one might ask, can't you just use booleans or something to figure out things? Well, I did once use that, but thanks to the input buffer system, I can now use many different things. For instance, the character commands. If we go into one of our characters, all of this is all different moves. I mean, could you imagine if you just had to use the booleans over and over again, like this, it would be insanely hard to even track things without having some kind of input buffer system. And it's especially important if you're doing the very complex movesets of games. This is stuff that, how you put this, would be used in things like Crash Bandicoot, Devil May Cry, maybe even Sonic Frontiers, a video game that I am currently looking forward to playing when it releases. And if I even get it on Christmas, which I probably could, but let's move back on topic. Now, in here, let's go into some of this stuff. Oh, actually, before we go into the game itself, let's go to the final part of this big thing, the press any key to join screen. Now, you can create a widget to notify players when they can join the match and what inputs to press. And if you know fighting games, well, usually if you're disconnected, it'll show a pop-up widget that says, so-and-so is disconnected, please turn on your controller so you can reconnect. That sort of thing. This is a little bit primitive so far, but no doubt that Sean the Bro will continue to improve things in the future for this. Now, the press any key to join stuff is mostly just the blueprint logic. Going into here, we have event construct, and all of this is simple. Event construct, we play animation for image flicker and text flicker. We cast to default game mode blueprint. We get our controllers here, and we have a boolean to determine if our widget is for player 1. We cast to base player controller and set that as the owning controller. We have two functions here, get press any input text and get input device image. And let's see. In get press any input text, we determine the text of everything. So right around here we got our, oh man, a little bit of issues with some stuff, but here is where we have it. Get input device image brush. We get our owning controller, and if it's valid, and if it is input device gamepad, we go into this stuff. Now, if it's an input device gamepad, we set our thing to yin-yang image. I don't exactly have any images for controllers or keyboards just yet, but these are good enough placeholders. So we can now go into our game, and I will show you some of the stuff that's been improved, aside from the roll tech, because I have not done the rolling wake up yet. Hopefully I can finish that someday when I've got, how you put this, the entirety of placeholders replaced with more permanent stuff, one could say, because again, I do hope to release a fighting game someday, but for now, I'm still in development. So, going into here, we go into Fight Stars, again, practice, and then, now I am using both a controller and, of course, the keyboard. It's a little bit laggy on some fronts, but then let's go into things. And then Whoop. Now, look. Now we got ourselves the controller changing. If we press the controller, we get the yin-yang. If we press keyboard, we do this. Of course, we do not have such thing for Player 2 yet. They only have keyboard stuff so far, I think, but eventually we'll be getting there for that. And with that, I will probably be able to say that I've gotten caught up again. Today is Thursday, September 22nd of 2022. It's almost time for dinner for me. Hopefully when I get this thing out, I won't have to wait for Instagram to load for a long arse time, because I've got a schedule of releasing the Funlogs on my private account, Herogon Life. So for those who are looking forward to this one on Herogon the game dev, you're gonna have to wait a little while longer. Or if you're watching this already now, then let's say that it's already out on Herogon the game dev. Oh man, that's a silly logic joke. Anyways, credit should be going to Sean the Bro. He has been great in all of my endeavors towards being a game dev that uses Unreal Engine 4. I have so far been doing the usual old Fridays and Sundays as my time to have some fun with Unreal Engine 5. So, I've been Herogon, you've been you. Thank you for watching this fighting game fun log. I look forward to seeing you next time. Later, guys, goodbye.